If live selling is the future of e-commerce in America, which I believe it may be, then I want CardsHQ to be on the forefront of live selling. And that's the exact direction that we have already started to head in. We are 7 days into live selling cards here at CardsHQ, and we have already sold almost 3,000 cards at a very healthy profit margin. But we're just scratching the surface. I want those numbers to 10x, 20x, 100x in the months ahead. And today, we're going to break down how that is going to happen. I believe it will happen because I believe we're just at the early stages of what's going to be incredible growth with live selling in this country in general. If you look to countries like China and India, their revenue, their sales from live selling dwarfs what's happening here in the United States. But I believe that in the years ahead, live selling will play a greater and greater mix for e-commerce in this country, and buying sports cards through live selling will be a bigger and bigger part of the hobby. CardsHQ is going to be there to lead the charge. So today on the Geoff Wilson Show, I'm bringing in Ryan and Carter, my partners in CardsHQ again, and we're going to break down everything we're doing and planning on doing in the world of live selling. Carter, Ryan, welcome back to the show. This feels good right now. I feel like, we are a few weeks in now to having this shop fully open and operational. We're going to be celebrating our 1 month anniversary soon here. We've got our first live selling going. We've got a nice cadence of retail sales in the store. It feels like we're getting our feet under us a little bit compared to where we were last time we did one of these episodes. I know there's still a lot of work. I know you guys have still been working tremendously hard. I see you in here every single day, 7 days a week. But how does it feel right now with where things sit versus, a month ago when we, right when the store was opening, when we last got together and had conversations like these?
It's a lot different, very different. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. We're seeing similar faces every day coming in the store. We started live selling like you talked about, and that's been a whole different aspect of our business that we're so excited about. It's been a different experience than it's been for the last 2 weeks than it was the first 2 weeks or so. So we're still in full grind mode, still team no sleep. We're here late. I was here till 2 a.m. last night. So we're just punching it out, getting all this stuff done.
Yep. How about you, Ryan? What's your reflection?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, I was kind of being selective on the cards we were buying, and now just how much we're selling, we'll take anything. We're buying everything. I mean, not 80s baseball. Don't bring that into us. But just bring in all these rookies, and we're just selling through everything, especially on the Whatnot. The Whatnot's been really fun, having Jacob and Eric go after it every day, selling singles. And, we got Eric, who's a really goofy guy, and, Jacob's super polished, and they're just such a great duo.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about the live selling experience here in just a few minutes, being 7 days in. But I want to touch on something you said around buying and the fact that you want to buy anything and everything right now. When we first opened the store, when we were planning out this store, we thought to ourselves that our biggest challenge might be inventory, and specifically being able to buy enough cards and being able to, have enough product in our showcases to keep up with the demand. I think we were a little afraid to officially say that and identify that as perhaps our biggest problem, because it feels a little bit presumptuous. What you're essentially saying there is we have more demand than we have supply, which, by the way, is a fantastic problem to have in business. And it's a problem that most businesses don't get the benefit of having. Most businesses, they've got the supply side figured out. They can get more inventory, or they've got plenty of inventory. It's the customer demand side that they're constantly having to work on through marketing. And, we need to get more customers in the store, right? So it almost felt a little presumptuous for us to say, oh no, customer demand, we got that covered. We got plenty of people. We're going to have plenty of sales. We're going to be plenty busy. It's the supply side that we need to keep up with. But now that we're a few weeks in, close to a month in, I can confidently say that our biggest challenge right now is the inventory side. It's the supply side. The customer demand is here. And knock on wood that continues. I recognize we're only a month in, and I recognize that, it's possible that retail sales will slow down some as time goes on, but they've been very strong this first, few weeks of the store operating. But we haven't even really scratched the surface yet of the live selling. We've started to do it a little bit. We've done 7 days of it. We're going to talk more about it in this episode. But there's so much more. We're at like 10% of, not even 10%. We're less than 10% of where I want live selling to be. And so that right there and that potential, that's going to create such an inventory demand. And it's that piece of it is a challenge. So I know, well, and let me pose a question to you guys. How do we solve it? We've had conversations about it, but how do we actually solve that? What are your thoughts, Carter?
Well, obviously in business, you got to adapt a lot, right? So we're already adapting our staffing plan. You know, we have a good team member, Trey, who's been helping us buy for a little bit. And so we're transitioning him more towards a buyer role and helping us further there, right? And so we got to hit the road more. We're about to hit shows again. We've taken this whole month off from shows. So that's a big deal in our challenge to buy inventory right now. In March, we're going to hit the Nashville Card Show and the Dallas Card Show. And then past that, I'm sure there's plenty more shows that we're going to schedule here shortly. But I think, adapting and doing the best that we can to get more buyers here and, help us, with the inventory issue. I think that's our strategy right now.
Yeah. And I know you're eager to get back out there at the shows, Ryan. You're talking about how you want to, potentially even have like a U-Haul at this Nashville show. We need to buy so much that we can like really bring it down here and fill, our storage room with cards.
Yeah, I want to go to Nashville with the U-Haul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in business school, to slow down demand, you raise the prices. That's something that we all agreed we don't want to do. We want to be price fair, priced at what it is on Market Movers, priced what it is on eBay. So yeah, we made those shifts. We moved Trey to buyer. We're trying to find some more buyers, and we're going to just go cover more shows across the country.
Yeah.
Just get more inventory.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. And it's buying at scale is a challenge. It's the sealed product you can get from the manufacturers by placing a phone call, but even then it's very limited because it's very in demand. And Topps has been great working with us on our sealed product needs. But we've got a strong relationship with Topps. We don't have the same depth of relationship with Panini at all. So we don't have Panini support right now at all in the store. And so we're having to kind of scramble with getting wax for football and basketball in the secondary market. And Upper Deck, they're supportive. We're just starting the relationship with them. We've been building the relationship with the distributors on the Pokemon side and also getting some sports through them. So that's a whole nother thing is like the sealed product. But at least there, who you have to go to. And it's a set group of people that you got to call up and you got to beg them for product, right? On cards, you can't call anyone and just say like, oh yeah, ship me, 1,800 Joe Burrow cards for my showcase, right? You got to go collector by collector, show by show, in-store experience, in-store person after in-store person who wants to sell their cards. And one thing we wondered going into this was, would there be enough people in Atlanta, in our metro area, walking through our door, selling us their collections, that alone would keep up with demand? And what we've seen the first few weeks is the answer to that is just simply no. There's not. We are buying a lot. There are a lot of people coming in every day. You, Ryan, do a lot of our buying, and you're busy in your office all day long sometimes with people coming in and selling. But even at that pace, it's still not enough to keep up with the sales that we're doing in store. And now that we're starting to go live on Whatnot, it's definitely not going to be enough to keep up with that. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, once we start going live on Whatnot, I have a stack separate for Whatnot and a stack for the showcases. It used to all go to the showcases, and now I'm losing more cards to
It's all coming to me.
which is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just need more cards coming in. But with us going back to shows, I mean, we wanted to get, February, be here in store, make a presence, see how all the operations are working. Going back to shows, we're probably just going to go and fill suitcases like we were when we were building this place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we did to get our initial inventory. You guys hit a bunch of shows in November, December, January, actually October as well is really when we started doing that. And we build up, a big inventory to open the store with. We got to do it again. And we may even have to do it at a greater scale even than what we did it during those months. We may even have to do a greater volume of buying because now we're trying to keep up with keeping the showcases filled, but then on top of that, being able to support live selling. And we really want to expand live selling well beyond what we've done here in our first 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've even been flying Southwest so we can get those three suitcases. Mm-hmm. And you should see the Uber drivers when we roll up with 9 suitcases, hop in these Ubers. We get the biggest suitcases, fill them up show to show. So I'm excited to go do that again.
That's an interesting logistical point though, because a lot of these shows that you guys are going to, like Dallas, and these are shows that are not within driving distance of Atlanta, or at least not a reasonable drive. And so you're not only dealing with going there to buy, but then you're dealing with the logistics of getting all of those cards back. And I know, sometimes you ship cards, but that's expensive and carries risk. Sometimes you pack out suitcases of cards, but there's even risk there because those cards, they're going, some of the suitcases are going in the underbelly of the plane. Some of it you're bringing on with you, but there's a limit to how much they allow you to bring on with you. So the whole thing logistically about even, forget the buying, just the transport of all the cards to get them back here is not easy. Obviously, whenever we have a show that is within a driving radius of our store, that's really going to be a really critical one for us to hit and spend as much as we possibly can at, obviously within reason. We have that coming up with Nashville, so that's a good thing. There's not that many shows though. You got Culture Collision in Atlanta, you got Nashville. I know you guys do a lot of those flip shows like in Alabama and that kind of thing, but those are smaller shows. We've got the smaller one that happens here in Atlanta on every other weekend, but those are smaller shows. They're not going to support the level of buying that we need to do. I wish there were more big shows. I feel like maybe Charlotte needs like a big show, and I know they do some shows there, but like, could we get a giant show in Charlotte? That would be helpful. Or I don't know,
Orlando maybe.
Orlando. We could even potentially drive down to Orlando or Tampa. It's a little longer of a drive, but it could happen. It's I was just at the University of Florida the other day. Changing topics completely. Coolest experience ever.
It looked cool.
Oh, it was so cool. I got to go through there. Like, it was basically like partially kind of the experience that a recruit goes through. And I got to hang out in the football facility for the whole day and talk to almost a lot of the coaches, spent like 45 minutes with the head coach, Billy Napier, and got to see every inch of the facility and meet a bunch of the players. It was so much fun. And so as part of that, I got to go into their recruiting war room. That was the one part of the whole day where they said you can't take any photos, because it was literally, I go in the recruiting war room and it's a large room, and all of the walls literally have every single player who they're trying to target at every single position for the next recruiting cycle, for the 2025 recruiting class, all ranked, all prioritized, all like very, so in terms of like confidential information, like, if any of the rival schools got photos of this, it would they'd know our entire recruiting plan for the year, right? So it was really interesting. One of the things they had in that room was any recruit that was within a certain distance of the school, they had that kind of flagged in ways of prioritizing, because the thought process is there's higher value potentially for recruits that are more in your backyard. There's potentially a higher likelihood of them accepting your offer, right? So there was a lot of intricacies to this, but they had a lot of ways of kind of measuring it and looking at it. But one of them was, how far is the recruit away from the school? Kind of an obvious measure, right? And so I was like thinking about that, and I'm like, man, like we need to a degree be thinking that same way when it comes to like card shows, card shops, ability to like buy things at scale. It's like things that are within a certain radius have higher value to us, because we could potentially do a transaction and bring it all back and get it all in one haul and do a bigger transaction. Trying to buy somebody's collection who lives in San Diego, it's a lot more of a challenge. It's like, man, how you got to load that thing up on pallets or, whatever. And then you're dealing with all the shipping and all the costs and everything associated with that. So Nashville's a big one. That's coming up in what?
March 8th through the 10th, I believe.
Yeah. So that's going to be a real big one.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps restore some of our inventory needs. And then you got Dallas the weekend right after that. Is that right?
Yeah. March 14th through 17th.
Okay.
Yep.
So he's going to Nashville and I'm going to Dallas.
Okay. Cool. So if anyone out there listening is going to be going to the Nashville or Dallas card shows, look for Ryan or Carter respectively, and sell us your cards, sell us your collections. We'd absolutely love to buy them.
Help me fill my U-Haul.
Right. Help
me
Ryan
fill my suitcases.
Help Ryan fill his U-Haul for sure. Okay, let's talk about live selling. So we are 7 days in. Live selling is a huge part of our business plan, right? Like we are, people look at this store and they're like, wow, the store's so big, and do you really need all this square footage and all this stuff? And my answer is yeah, because it's not just a retail store. Like if this was just a retail store for Atlanta, yeah, it's probably too big. But it's not a retail store for Atlanta. This is partially a retail store for Atlanta. And then this is very much a live selling operation and an online operation for the entire world. And our tagline is we're the world's local card shop. That's what we aspire to be. We're not that yet because we're not online and live enough yet, right? But we will get to that point where every single card in our inventory, every single box in our inventory is available for sale through our website, where we want to do live selling in the aisles, where we have all of our breaking and live selling cabanas up and running. We will get to the point eventually where we truly are the world's local card shop because we'll have all of this capability. And that's how we really maximize our square footage, and that's how we really maximize our revenue. But you have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run. And so we are in that initial phase right now of kind of crawling and figuring out our path. So here's what we've done so far. We started live selling on Whatnot. That's the first platform we're doing is Whatnot. We may do other platforms in the future. I'm sure we will. We'll probably do Fanatics Live and maybe other things. But we're starting with Whatnot. We've had a great relationship with them. At Sports Card Investor, I've had a great relationship with them for a while, and we've done some things with them previous at CardsHQ. We went live on Super Bowl Sunday. That was our first day going live selling singles. That day, we sold 300 singles leading up to the Super Bowl. It allowed us to kind of get a sense of our setup. And then we took a few days off. And then we went, and then we sold Thursday through a Tuesday, 6 days in a row of live selling that we did. And so we're 7 day, or we did 5 days in a row. And then I think we did this last Thursday as well. Anyway, we're as of the filming of this, we're about 7 days in to doing this live selling. And every day we've been making little improvements. I mean, that's part of this process is how does, it's an iterative process. How does this look? How's it working? What are people buying? What are people not buying? But the format that we're going with right now is that we are going live 3 times a day. We're doing a football card sale for an hour and a half. That one right now, we've been doing that one as like 2:30 to 4.
Correct.
And then we've been doing a basketball card sale from 5 to 6:30. And then we've been doing a baseball card sale from 7:30 to 9:30.
Yep, 2 hours.
Yep. And you mentioned Jacob previously and Eric previously. They're the 2 live sellers that are kind of swapping in and out, that are running these things. We're doing them right here on the edge of the show floor. And the format we decided to do was to do entirely auctions. That's what we're doing right now. And every auction starts at $1. They're all, for the most part, lower priced, affordable value type cards. A lot of cards that are $10, $20. Some that are a little nicer, $50, $100, but really sub $100 on just about everything, and sub $50, sub $30 on a lot of things. To try to get people good value and that type of thing. We're doing all of the auctions sudden death, 20 seconds, which means that it's moving extremely fast. We had a theory around that. And I think it's playing out well. We had a theory around that we want the show to, when you come into our show on Whatnot, by the way, this is all happening on Whatnot on the CardsHQ shop account. We had a theory that we wanted it to move so quickly that it was difficult for somebody who came into our stream to move away, to click away, right? And that's actually kind of a rule with YouTube video creation too, by the way. When we do our vlogs, if you subscribe to the Mr. Beast set of criteria for how to be successful on YouTube, one of the things that Mr. Beast speaks about is you, at no moment during the video can you lose the viewer. You cannot give them a moment to pick their remote up and change channels, essentially. And if there's any lull in the video, you'll lose people. So that's why Mr. Beast, they never hang on to a particular camera angle for more than 4 seconds in one of his videos. It's constant. Even if it's the same camera angle, they punch in and punch out. Punch in, punch out, punch in, punch out, switch angle, punch in, switch angle, punch in, punch out. If you watch his videos and you look at this, it's no image is being held for more than a couple of seconds. And it's because they want this constant movement and kind of momentum to the video so that it's difficult for you to ever switch away. And so we've kind of brought that same line of thinking into our live selling. where it's just like card, boom, 20 seconds, sudden death, sold, card, boom, 20 seconds, sudden death, sold. And I know, Carter, you even told these guys to go faster. Like, you even after the first couple of days, you guys faster, faster, faster. What do you think, Carter? What would you say 7 days into live selling? What do you think we've learned so far?
That we could be faster.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing right there. I think, I try to let them build into it, right, and get comfortable. We're doing something very different. Something you didn't touch on is these guys are standing. They're moving around, right? Our setup is completely different than what anyone else is doing. Most people are sitting down. They're selling cards with a camera or their phone. These guys are standing. These guys have multiple camera angles to work with. They are, we have at the bottom of the screen, we have this shelf on a wall that shows cards that are coming up next. So people can see the cards that are coming up next. There's no surprises of what's coming up. It's really intricate, and these guys love it, but they're moving around. They're being active, right? And so, I was trying to let them kind of work into it for the first couple of days, because it's just different. And then I told them going into Saturday, like, hey, we need to pick up the pace. Like, you guys are right now at like 100 to 120 cards right now in your show. We need to get up to 150, 180. And they nailed it.
For context, so that is an hour and a half.
Correct.
When they started, they were doing like 120 cards in an hour and a half.
Correct.
And so that's an hour and a half is 90 minutes. So they were averaging a little over a card a minute,
Correct.
like maybe 1.2, 1.3 cards per minute,
Correct.
something like that. And you said, we got to get up to like 150 to 180.
Correct.
So you wanted them to get as close to 2 cards per minute as possible.
Correct. Yeah, and they were executing that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They were definitely at 145, 150 plus every live sale.
And I think that's going to become a KPI, a key performance indicator, right? So, I mean, part of the interesting thing about this journey is we're learning all this for the first time, and we're experimenting with it, and we're even figuring out, like, what do we need to measure? Well, one thing that we need to measure is how many cards per show we're able to sell through, how many cards per minute on average we're able to sell through. And the reason why that's important is partially because it keeps the show moving quickly, as I talked about before, keeps viewers engaged and interested. But part of it is simply because it maximizes revenue. If you sell 1.2 cards per minute, that's not nearly as much revenue as if you're selling 2 cards per minute. You're almost doubling your revenue simply by getting more throughput on the number of cards going up for auction. And that doesn't even bring into play the idea of like having a bunch of buy it nows in your shop, which we haven't even started that yet. That's a whole nother thing that we're going to get into on our roadmap. But at the moment, it's just auctions. But even that, there's a lot of ability to maximize the efficiency and the flow through. And within 7 days, we already done that. Like, we've already said, you know what? It's got to be faster. It's got to be faster. It's got to be faster. We made little tweaks too to like how they're putting the card up for display and the whole thing, just to try to build. And you've done all these tweaks and how you're organizing the cards in the back. One thing that I thought was really interesting that you did, Carter, and you can speak more on this, was the different boxes of like the different types of cards and how you're trying to get them to kind of intermix, throughout the stream.
Right. So I right now currently have 2 tiers that I tell these guys. So basically, I'm just loading them up with cards, and then I tell them to take 30% of their cards. So every 10 cards, they need to take 3 cards out of the tier 2 box. Every 7 cards, they need to take out of the tier 1 box. And so these cards are different types of cards, right? The tier 2 are a little bit higher value. These can value anywhere from $20 to $100. Most of the cards in the tier 1 box are $20 and less, right? And so this is to try to accommodate most collectors, most people that are buying on our streams, with the mix of the better cards that people are asking for, right? Like, you want to keep exciting cards. You want as rare cards as you can get, no matter the value, right? And key players, star players, Joe Burrow rookies, Jalen Hurts rookies, stuff like that. So, trying to keep it exciting, try to keep it a mix. I don't want it to be stale. I don't want it to be a sale of just straight $10 cards, right? Like, I want it to be a $5 card. I want it to be a $20 card. I want a $50 card. I want a $15 card, $12. Like, I want a huge range of cards being sold, because collectors want different things, right? And so these guys, I just set them up. They pick out the cards, they get comfortable with them. So then when they go live, they already saw these cards once as they were sorting them. They're re-sleeving them, make sure they're clean, everything like that. And then they can talk about them better. And so that's the great thing. And that's the beauty of the sudden death, is that they just have to talk about these cards for 20 seconds. In a normal auction, you run an auction for 20 seconds and then it extends every time someone bids at the end. They could end up talking about a card for a minute and a half, maybe 45 seconds. That's a long time to talk about a card. So these guys are getting more comfortable every time they're going live, and to be able to talk about a card and hype it up for just 20 seconds, it gets the customers really more involved.
Yeah. And for those out there who maybe aren't familiar with Whatnot, sudden death is where if it's a 20-second auction, at the end of 20 seconds, whatever the highest bid is, that person wins the card. The traditional whatnot auction, which most sellers use, most sellers don't do sudden death. The traditional auction is that once, it can be a 20-second auction, but once the clock is under 10 seconds, when somebody bids, it adds like another, 10 seconds?
It goes back to 10 seconds.
It goes back to 10 seconds when somebody bids, right? So in other words, a 20-second auction could end up taking a minute and 10 seconds, because every time it goes under 10 seconds, somebody bids, it goes back to 10 seconds. Goes down to 3 seconds, somebody bids, it goes back to 10 seconds. So it extends it out. It gives more people the opportunity to bid. Most sellers prefer this because they think, it gives more time for people to bid, and therefore is going to maximize the revenue, it's going to maximize the price that they're able to get for a card. Maybe that's true with some cards. I can't say definitively if that's true or not true, but what I do know is it also slows you down and you can't go through nearly as many cards. So what's better? Is it better to try to maximize the value of every individual card? And we don't even necessarily believe that it actually does maximize the value to do a traditional auction. But let's say it does help you maximize the value, but you're doing one card every minute or one card every minute and a half versus being able to do 2 cards in a minute. Maybe you're not getting quite the same value, but you're doing twice the throughput. What's better? And that's a question that each whatnot seller would have to ask themselves individually. Some of it may come down to what type of cards you're doing. If you're doing $500 cards, you may be terrified of doing sudden death because you might, you may need it to continue to extend for that bidding to keep going on to maximize the value. And that might make sense, but that's not what we're doing. We're not doing $500 cards. All of our cards that we're concentrating on, for the most part, are under $100. And a lot of them, as you said, are value cards that are like under $30. And so for us, it's not necessarily as much about, we need to maximize the value of this $18 card. We hope it sells for $21 instead of $19. So therefore, we're going to do the slower auction. For us, it's like, no, we want to move through these cards as quickly as possible. We'd rather sell 2 cards for $19 each every minute rather than sell 1 card for $21, every minute, right? So that's what we're trying to do with that. And, whether that proves to be the absolute best way of doing it over time, we'll see. We may adjust down the road, but that's what we decided to start with. And I'd say that the early indicators on that have been good. Another thing that I think the early indicators have been good on is our guys who we have doing this. So we spent a lot of time interviewing live sellers. I'm going back to like October, like right when we first announced that we were going to do CardsHQ. One of the very first things we did was started interviewing for people for the retail store, but also for live sellers, because we knew that was going to be a big piece of what we did. And when we would have live sellers come in and interview, we would actually test them. We'd have them go into a booth and go on Whatnot on a test stream and actually sell cards, and we would see how they were doing. So we were pretty picky with who we were hiring, and the 2 guys who we've started our live selling with, Eric and Jacob, were 2 guys who did well during the interview cycle, very well, and we felt very confident in both of them. They had to wait for a while. I think we hired them back in probably early November or something like that, and then we said, you got to wait a couple of months until the store opens, and they did, and they were patient. And then they actually worked in the stores like retail associates for a little while we were getting the live selling set up. But now they're over to full-time live selling. And the 2 of them, I think, have proven us right that they were good hires. You were talking a little bit, Ryan, about that. Tell us a little bit more about kind of what you have seen out of them so far.
Well, when Eric came in for the interview process, he mentioned he was an actor, and that really stood out when we tested him. He knew how to go off the seat of his pants. He came in and he was goofy. He's funny. He was a card collector himself. Where Jacob's not as much of a card collector, but just more well polished and can speak on the cards. But just Eric's the goofiest guy on the stream. If you got to tune in and watch Eric sell these cards. He's saying silly stuff. I mean, it's fast paced. It's stressful. I mean, I couldn't do it. Yeah. 20 seconds. I mean, you got 20 seconds to sell a card. They're going fast, and Eric does a great job of it. And then Jacob, he comes in. They're kind of polar opposites. He's not goofy. He's straightforward. Like, here's the card. You probably should go home with it. Take it home. Here's, he's a quarterback, And then Eric comes in and he's like, "Oh man, this guy, he sucked in college," like he just is just witty, and it works.
It's a good yin and yang for sure. It's worked out. Jacob knows a lot about sports, and so that helps support what he does on it a lot. He's very knowledgeable, particularly about baseball.
He knows all the athletes.
Yeah.
He knows where they went to college.
Yep.
And that really helps.
He can speak on so many different things about the player.
Yep.
He can tell you so many things, if it's stats or anything like that. And that's a big beauty of it. The overall professionalism that he brings, right, is great. I mean, these guys are mostly going on 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. So you're getting two different sides in a quick amount of period. And I think our viewers love it. I think viewers like the kind of the more polished vibe that Jacob brings, and then they like the goofy, funny vibe that Jacob brings or Eric brings in 1 hour. It's fun.
Yeah. And, this is entertainment. I mean, live selling is entertainment. And when you look at the countries that have, really embraced this, and I mean, they're, just unbelievable growth in live selling in China and India. And it's an entertainment mechanism. I mean, this has existed forever in the US in a slightly different medium. And that's, Home Shopping Network, that's QVC. I mean, this has existed forever. I mean, Lori Greiner, who's on Shark Tank, she's the queen of QVC. I mean, I think she sold something like she sold $500 million worth of products on QVC, I think. Or something like that. It's some crazy stat, hundreds of millions of dollars on QVC. And it's because people like to watch her and they like to be entertained. But the format of that, of Home Shopping Network and QVC, was traditionally like, maybe stay-at-home moms sitting on their couch, 2 PM, turning on the TV, watching, dialing a 1-800 number to purchase a product, right? What we have today with apps like Whatnot is like such a better presented, more interactive version of that. It's the same concept, but it's now put into a package that, first of all, anybody can access anytime, anywhere, on the go. You can chat as part of it with the other people that are watching the stream. You feel much more, connection with the people you're watching because they can respond back to your chat and everything like that. And to buy it, it's a simple one click, and you bought the item versus, having to call a 1-800 number and give them your credit card.
It's kind of funny. Even the people in our aisles, they're walking around and they're on our Whatnot app,
Yeah.
buying cards
And they're
while
buying.
while they're shopping in the aisles too.
Yeah. I had a customer last night say, "Hey, thanks for the slabs from the Whatnot sale." And I was like, "Oh, you're welcome."
That's exactly what we were hoping to achieve. The very intentional piece of the store design, when we designed the store out, was putting our live selling and breaking cabanas right on the edge of the show floor. So customers who are in the store can hear and see what's happening. And we have TVs over each of them so that customers in the store can peer over and go, "Oh, what are they live selling right now? What's going on in there?" Maybe they don't know anything about it. And they're like, "What is this all about?" And they're watching the TV and they're like, "Oh," and these cards are all going up for auction every 20 seconds. And so you're seeing people come in the store and actually getting the app and going on the app and watching what's happening live. That's really cool. And that's that interactivity we want to create. And we're just scratching the surface. I mean, right now we are live on Whatnot. On the live selling piece of it, we're live on Whatnot for the 3 shows each day, the football show, the basketball show, and the baseball show. Total time of 5 hours a day, right? 2 hours at night for the baseball show, 7:30 to 9:30, and then the hour and a half for the football, hour and a half for the basketball. That's just the schedule that we've set up right now, but it's 5 hours a day live. And we're only live right now 5 days a week because it's just Jacob and Eric, and they're working a 5-day a week schedule. We want to grow. First and foremost, we want to be live 7 days a week. And then we want to start to be live more than 5 hours a day. We want to fill in the gaps at the shows. We want to, be able to be live for more hours a day. And we will. We're hiring more people to do it, right? That's the thing. We have to hire more people. We have to scale up into it, and we have to make sure we have the card inventory to support it. And that's why that's why we're starting small, and we're going to continue to grow. But that's just that one mechanism of live selling. That's Whatnot, that's live auctions, and that's all that is, right? And even that has the opportunity to grow 3-4x beyond where it is today by expanding out hours and by expanding out days of the week. Then you get into breaking. We're going to talk about breaking in a second. But then there's also the live selling of singles from the aisles, or having a bunch of stuff in our Whatnot shop that people can shop, anytime, real-time integration with that in our store inventory. There's also, our own website and, which we haven't even, launched or touched on yet because we've been worried about, are we going to have enough inventory to support it at this point in time? All that stuff will come. All that stuff will come with time. But breaking is, so, it's kind of the live auctions on Whatnot. We've already started and we're going to expand it out. Breaking's our next frontier. And we have also already started breaking. It's a little bit newer. We want to expand it out a lot as well. But Carter, talk a little bit about on the breaking side, what we have done so far.
Yeah. So far we've been posting one group break a night, but mostly we're doing personal breaks, and we're actually selling the products directly from our showcases in the store. So that's pretty cool, right? And so our breaker, Lucido, he's been able to use his crowd cam to show boxes in the showcases, right? And so he has all the listings in the store. People have been buying boxes like crazy. He's been ripping a lot. He's been live as well. So he went 4 days last week, and then he's 4 days this week. So he's Thursday through Sunday, right now from 4 to 1 a.m. in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so he's been ripping a lot of personal breaks. He's been filling some breaks. And he's just having a blast. But I think the cool part is people are like, hey, I want that box out of that showcase.
Yeah.
So, and we actually just added some shelves in his studio as well, his little breaker cabana, so he can put some product there. But people are fired up to get boxes that they can get literally in the store.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing, right? To combine the breaking element with the store element. I mean, we've even had the concept, and we're going to continue to play around with it, but we've even kind of had the concept of like, what if we could put some more cameras on our showcases to show the different boxes that we have, or maybe there's a roaming camera at some point. Mm-hmm. We have the crowd cam, as you said, right now that allows him to pan around and see some of the boxes. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we've got a couple of, eventually we're going to have crowd cams on every single one of these cabanas, and he can access any of the crowd cams from his cabana. I don't know if it's set up that way for him to do it.
It's not right now.
But it's all networked, so he could. Mm-hmm. That actually is interesting. What if we were to add, what if some of the other cabanas cameras were actually accessed by him to be able to show wax in the different showcases and everything like that? Because then you get a kind of a whole spread of the store.
Yeah, he was showing cards too in the showcases, and he zooms in on them. You could see the cards perfect. It's funny.
That's
really cool.
It's we put a lot of investment into the camera technology in the store to really try to create a really cool experience doing this. And the breaking piece, we're just getting started with, right? Like we've been promoting the live selling more than we've been promoting the breaking. The breaking, we've only done, as of the filming of this, we've only done 4 or 5 days, 5 days of breaking so far, I think, something
4
like
days.
that. 4 days of breaking so far. And so we are just getting going with that as well. But we want to expand what we're doing from a breaking standpoint. We already are. Like we've already hired another breaker who's somewhat prominent, who's going to be relocating to Atlanta and starting with us around the 1st of April. I know we've been interviewing other have we hired anyone else yet? I know you guys have been interviewing people. I'm not even up on our recent hires.
Yeah, we've been sending out some offers from other breakers.
Okay.
So that's going to be the path there to grow is a little bit more clear at this moment. Obviously, I'd like to get the path a little bit more clear for the live selling because we want to get that really ramped up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus here in the short term. But breaking, we have a clear path on how we're growing that here in the near future.
Yeah. And so we've got the path of growing out the live selling in terms of days of the week and then hours of the day. That's very clear. Mm-hmm. We got to hire the people to do it. We got to have the cards to do it, but that's very clear. With breaking, we've got the same, we not only have the path of like more hours and more days, but you also have the path of more breakers breaking different types of product, right? Like we're thinking about TCG and we're thinking about non-sports and how do we get into all those things, which we're also thinking about from a live selling aspect as well. But then, and then also I mentioned, live selling from the aisles in the future, website. But then on top of all of that, then you've also got platform diversity, because right now we're doing all of this on Whatnot. And as I mentioned earlier, Whatnot's a great partner and is our focal point right now. But Fanatics Live is playing an important role in the sports card hobby. And obviously Fanatics and Topps want to continue to push that. And there's other platforms as well. And we'll see where all of that goes. But I think there's there's a lot of opportunity to expand.
Yeah, well, there's TCG too.
Yeah, TCG. Yeah, the whole world of TCG. Like there's a lot of opportunity to expand and grow. We got to have the product to do it. We got to have the cards to do it. But we're working on that side. Obviously, that's a big focal point. And I think a lot of this comes back to entertainment. It comes back to creating the connection with your audience. It comes back to the experience. And much like in the retail store, we put a lot of concentration on trying to create customer experience and trying to create community. Like experience and community were the two words that we kept repeating. And if people have seen our previous videos, they've heard us repeat, community experience, community experience. That's what we try to create in the retail store. And I believe we have. And those same words apply to everything we're trying to do from a live selling standpoint and from a breaking standpoint as well. And that's why we're trying to do things a little bit differently. We're trying to give people a better experience by having the different cameras and the people being able to buy wax out of showcases and all these things that are different and unique that you don't necessarily see right now on other streams. So we're going to continue to innovate and we're going to continue to build on all of those things. Ryan, what has surprised you the most being 7 days into this live selling journey and 4 or 5 days into this breaking journey?
The amount of customers that are, repeat customers. I thought we'd be getting a lot of new people, which we are. But there's people that come in and buy Bowman every day. Lucido's a Bowman expert. He knows every single prospect, it seems like. And honestly, I'm the one buying his cases right now. He only wants Bowman. So he's getting me. We just got 22 Bowman that has Ellie and Jackson Churio.
Oh, wow.
So he's really excited to rip that. But he is an absolute expert in Bowman. So people are coming back because he knows all of the prospects. He knows if they're hitting good. We were breaking the 23 Sapphire. We have one more case of that, of Bowman Draft. And then we have plenty of Bowman Draft cases left too, which, the Brady 12 out of 50 hasn't been hit yet.
No.
So, having Lucido as an expert, getting these people to stay with us breaking.
Yeah.
And, that's been great.
I want to get that 12 out of 50 Brady in this store.
Let's get ripping.
I want to get that 12 out of 50 Brady in this store. We got a lot of Bowman Draft. It's got to be in one of our boxes, right? It's somewhere back there in the back.
It's got to be.
Okay, it's here. The Brady 12 out of 50 is here. You heard it first right here. At some point, that's going to get ripped on one of our breaks. I hope. Yeah. What has been your biggest surprise, Carter?
I think my biggest surprise is just how much our guys have been willingness to learn and adapt, right? Like these guys have been thinking about doing this for a while. You mentioned that we hired Jacob and Eric a while ago, right? And so they've been, thinking about this, and they came in and they probably had, anticipations of how things were going to go. And they've been thrown so many different things than they expected, and they've learned so quickly. Lucido's picked up really quickly on, his studio setup and everything like that. This is different, as we said, than what anyone else is doing, right? We've invested heavily in the production side of things. And I think what surprised me the most is just how their willingness to learn, they're willing to adapt, and how quickly they've done it, and how quickly our shows have gone better every single night. It's just been so great. Our store has been a process. We've been, it's been a big challenge for us to train our staff because we've been so busy, right? And our staff's been amazing. But these guys have really taken it on, and they're doing it on their own because we're so busy doing other things. We got to continue to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we needed people who we could rely on
Yep.
to take charge. And that was one of the, we looked for those qualities when we were hiring people.
Yep.
And it's nice to, be right with our hires and have some people that have done a really great job so far. It's not, you don't always hit 100% with that. And we're not going to hit 100% with that. Like we're going to certainly have people who we feel good about during the interview process who turn out not to be quite what we were hoping, not the right fit, whatever it may be. That's going to happen, but it's nice to get a few of these initial ones, right off the bat and feel like we've hit them for sure. All right. Anything else we should tell the audience about today before we wrap the show?
I see a lot of customers out there needing help, so I think we got to get back to the store.
Yeah, it actually is starting to get busy right now. I see a lot of customers walking up and down the aisle, so I think now is about time for us to get back out there.
You just got to follow us on CardsHQ Shop and CardsHQ Breaks and check us out.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Go check this out and see how we're doing, and let us know how you think we're doing and what you like and don't like about our setup. As Carter just said, on Whatnot, we are channel CardsHQ Shop for the live selling, and we are channel CardsHQ Breaks for the breaking. So check it out and let us know what you think. And on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap today's episode. I appreciate you guys watching, and I want to make sure that you know that the full-length episodes of this show are available every single week on YouTube, on a different YouTube channel called The Geoff Wilson Show on YouTube, and then also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, the podcast version of The Geoff Wilson Show. Look it up there and make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you next time. Take care.